Hey everyone, Ewan here. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace, but more on that later. One of the most fascinating mythologies within the greater mega mythos of the Marvel Universe is that of the legacy of the Iron Fist. Although Danny Rand is the first to have made his presence known to the wider Marvel Universe, the line of Iron Fists have been around for a very long time, and have as such featured some great warriors. And while we don't know each and every last one of his predecessors, we do know quite a few. Side note, this will only focus on those characters who assume the full title of Iron Fist and are a part of the actual line of succession. That said, I'm Ewan, welcome to What Culture Comics, and here's what happened to everyone who became Iron Fist. Number 9. Fan Fei. Until recently, the earliest known Iron Fist was a different fella who we'll be getting to in a minute, but as of 2021, the OG figure to wield the power of Shu Lao is Fan Fei, who was introduced in 2017 as a member of the Avengers 1 million BC. Fei is the original Iron Fist, as in the first to ever plunge their fists into the heart of the dragon and emerge with the awesome powers readers are now so familiar with. She discovered Shu Lao's power after being declared a traitor by the masters of Kunlun for teaching kung fu to those who resided outside the city's walls. Fei was exiled and over the next years came to fight a number of ancient beings, some of which were the evil deviants. She also rebuked an offer from Mephisto to conquer the Earth, and continued to operate as Earth's protector for some time afterwards. As mentioned previously, Fei was also a member of the Stone Age Avengers, a team which comprised Odin Borson, Lady Phoenix, the Sorcerer Agamotto, Black Panther, a mammoth-riding Ghost Rider which... so cool, and Starbrand. The team took down a Celestial known as the Fallen, but little is known of what became of Fei in the years following. Here's hoping Jason Aaron reveals more in future issues of his Avengers series. Number 8. QUAN YAOZU. We don't know much about YAOZU since he exists purely as mythology in the world of Iron Fist. What we do know is that he was one of the earliest wielders of the Iron Fist mantle given out by the elders of Kunlun to protect it and the other 7 capital cities of heaven from a recently discovered, brutally hellish 8th city. When the time came to seal off the 8th city forever, QUAN elected to stay on the other side to make sure it closed properly, condemning himself to death at the hands of the city of very pissed off demons. Number 7. Lee Park. Although writers like Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction have given more of a look into the many different wielders of the Iron Fist powers over the centuries, we don't have a solid step-by-step timeline, so the next Iron Fist we know of so far is Lee Park. Lee's claim to fame was the fact that he wielded the powers of Iron Fist while also being a pacifist. One might wonder how exactly he managed that, since violence is sorta implied to be a non-negotiable part of the job, with the fist part of the name, but reading his story in the pages of Immortal Iron Fist will paint a fascinating picture. Lee only really joined the School of Thunder in Kunlun to keep an eye on his little brother, and had no intention of receiving the Iron Fist powers. But when a plague wiped out all the other candidates, he was the only one left who had the training to handle it. Why didn't they just wait to train someone new who was, down for the whole beating the ever-loving snot out of dudes part of the job? Well, there was the small matter of an insane Chinese general gobbling up land all over the place, so the masters of Kunlun didn't really have time to be picky. Unlike his predecessor though, we don't know how Lee Park met his end, but here's hoping it was a good one. Hey again everyone, Ewan of What Culture Comics here, and I have something really cool to share with you all as we've teamed up with Squarespace to bring you this video. But Ewan, what is Squarespace? Well, I'll tell you, my quadrilaterally curious friend. Squarespace is the biggest and most user-friendly website creation service out there. It's easy to use and allows you to build your own elegant-looking websites in no time at all. I mean, just think of the potential you have here. Are you a budding artist who wants a place to show off all your amazing creations? Well, you can do it with Squarespace. Want to write a series of essays unlocking the secrets of Green Arrow's famous chili? Braver folks have tried, but now you can too. Heck, you could even start your own shop and sell your own super-themed goodies. All of these and more are entirely possible and very simple to bring together thanks to the fact that Squarespace can be expanded upon using third-party tools and widgets to make a truly unique website. Excitingly, we here at What Culture have also been working with Squarespace to create a brand new storefront that includes merch of all your favorite channels, which I'm sure What Culture Comics is at the top of. It's at the top, right? Right? But before I dwell on the prospect that you may find other What Culture channels more entertaining than ours, I do have to say that running a business through Squarespace is brilliant, as you can plug in tools to help with shipping and tracking, as well as connect all your social media into the site, meaning that customers can see new designs as soon as you publish them everywhere. You've got a platform. Sounds amazing, spectacular, and maybe even sensational, right? Well, if you're interested in joining the thousands of other Squarespace users, then why not do so with a bit of a cheeky discount? Head to squarespace.com/whatculturecomics and you'll get 10% off your first domain or website purchase on us. That's some Tony Stonks level of investment there, folks. I guarantee it. And speaking of superheroes, let's get back to the list. Number 6. MING-TAN. Next up is an Iron Fist we also know next to nothing about, MING-TAN, which is a shame since from what we do know, this guy sounds like a lot of fun. All we really know about Bei is that he lived in 1227 and single-handedly defended his home from the Mongols, even killing Genghis Khan in single combat. But while the Mongols were no problem for this badass warrior, he did eventually meet his end, like so many Iron Fist wielders, at the hands of the monster Shai Lin. Number 5. YAOZU. Iron Fist as an idea is already pretty badass, but add on being an ass-kicking Chinese pirate queen and you get pretty much the coolest character on this list so far. In 1545, the mantle of Iron Fist moved on to YAOZU. As you can imagine, for a girl who would grow up to become a leader of an army of pirates, she was not the easiest to deal with for the uber-disciplined monks of Kunlun. But after some training by Kei Lung the Thunderer, she was soon ready to face the challenge. Which, unfortunately, did not sit well with her fisherman boyfriend, who only grew more and more distraught with how violent her life was, and he would eventually leave her. Giving chase after him, Wu soon found herself butting heads with some pirates that had taken over Qinghai Bay. You would think this would be over quickly because, well, Iron Fist, but Iron Fist or not, 1,000 heavily armed pirates are still 1,000 heavily armed pirates at the end of the day. Fortunately, Wu's boyfriend, who was living in Qinghai Bay, comes to his senses and springs her, allowing her to destroy the pirates and take over as the new pirate queen. Hell yes. Number 4. Bei Bangwen. Not everyone who obtains the powers of the Iron Fist are as successful as YAOZU, however. Sometimes you get a really unlucky fellow like Bei Bangwen. Bei decided that the best way to use the Iron Fist powers, particularly the gift of the perfect strategy mind that was bestowed onto him by said powers, was to fight off the British and French armies during the Second Opium War of 1860. It didn't go well for him, nor did many of his other adventures after that. His Achilles heel was always his overconfidence in the so-called perfect strategies his mind could come up with, never taking into account that age-old wisdom that the first casualty of war is always the battle plan. After nearly dying in India against another warrior, Bei left his best friend with one last strategy, one meant to save his country from ruin, before returning to Kunlun to relinquish his powers in shame. Number 3. KWAI JUN-FAN. Westerns are awesome, and martial arts movies are awesome. It's why Shanghai Noon is such a banger of a movie. And well, as KWAI JUN-FAN proved, there's just something about putting the two together that makes them even more awesome. JUN-FAN was the successor to Bei Bangwen, or at least the closest to him timeline-wise, and learning from his predecessor's mistakes, decided that Europe and Asia could both frankly go rabbit, and went off to check out the Wild West he'd heard so much about. As you can imagine, the Chinese warrior stood out like a sore thumb, and it did not take long for the immortal arch-enemy of the Iron Fist, Zhao Cheng, to track him down. Zhao Cheng took over the minds of an entire town and set them on the warrior. JUN-FAN was good, but he was up against an entire town of heavily armed men and women. Once he was worn down, Zhao Cheng killed him and used his body in a bid for the Iron Fist powers, but was fortunately thwarted by Lei Kung the Thunderer. Number 2. Orson Randall. It was only a matter of time before Iron Fist readers found out who came right before Danny Rand. So with that said, who here wants to hear about a fundamentally good man being beaten down by a cruel world to the point where he grew to resent the powers given to him? No? Well, tough luck, I'm doing it anyway. Orson Randall was a warrior of Kunlun like the rest, but after gaining the powers of the Iron Fist, he left the city to help fight in World War I. As you can probably imagine, Orson saw a lot of stuff before the war was over. Like many veterans of the Great War, Orson fell deep into drugs and alcohol to drown out the nightmares of what he had seen, even vowing to only use his powers when absolutely necessary. However, as is the destiny of all beaten down, grizzled former heroes, along came an optimistic preteen to rejuvenate his faith in humanity, which in this case was Danny Rand's father, Wendell. This is how Wendell learned of Kunlun in the first place, which would of course lead to the event which saw Danny become the new Iron Fist. Many years later, Orson would also encounter Danny and the two would team up. Sadly, Randall sacrificed himself in order to save his successor, transferring his power to Danny in the process. And number 1. Danny Rand. Danny Rand, the current and indeed most famous Iron Fist, is the heir of the Rand Corporation. Danny was taken to Tibet in search of Kunlun by his father Wendell and mother Heather. However, they were betrayed by business partner Harold Meacham, who straight up Mufassa'd Wendell after he managed to get Danny and Heather to safety. Presumed dead, Danny returns after 10 years training in Kunlun, where he set upon the path to become the next Iron Fist. Along the way, he befriended superhero Luke Cage, and the two formed the Heroes for Hire, and the rest, as they say, is history. And that was what happened to every Iron Fist that we know of. Who's your favourite, and do you think it's time Marvel introduced a character to replace Danny as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, drop the video a like if you enjoyed it, and be sure to hit subscribe too, so you don't miss another upload going forward. I've been Ewan, keep on reading comics, and I will see you next time. Bye!